This is Electric People. You guys have asked for it. We're delivering. Scott Bell, the podcast.
Here we go.
I want to start with a story. Is that okay?
Let's hear it.
I'm going to start with a story that perfectly summarizes what it's like to be in Scott's world.
Okay.
Do you know what's coming?
No.
All right. So the year was probably 2000 and maybe 10, maybe 2011. Scene, Maui, the Grand Wailea. Now he's got it. So we were on a company trip, and we have Jeremy Guthrie on the trip, right? Professional MLB pitcher,
World Series
pitcher, huh?
Jeremy Guthrie.
And he had just signed. He just signed a big deal with the Kansas City Royals.
Yep.
And Scott, I was gone for a second, and I come back, and you're in the middle of a contest. There's this little white chapel in the middle of the grounds at the Grand Wailea, and Scott and friends have recruited Jeremy to a who can throw a baseball the furthest over this chapel contest. And you actually engaged him. He was doing it. And it was so funny because as I was watching, I don't know anything about baseball, though I did watch 3 baseball games last week.
Was that not amazing?
It was amazing. But
Game 7, incredible.
So much baseball I watched. I watched like 10 hours of baseball, right? So anyway, I was watching it. I was like, as if what makes a good pitcher is their ability to throw far. You know what I mean? And he had just signed this contract, and you got Guthrie out there risking his arm to beat you in like a distance contest as you're just in board shorts hucking this baseball over the little white chapel in Maui. And that's a little bit what it's like to be your friend, dude. Just exciting, like
competition,
rabble-rousing competition, and organized chaos at all times.
That was a good time.
That was a good time, man. Let the record show you threw it furthest. I remember it like hitting the hill and rolling up the hill.
It was amazing because I remember I'm talking to my friends that were there. I want to say Bonk and Woodley were there. You know them. And I go, I think I can outthrow this guy. And they're like, you're crazy. And so I asked Jeremy to start playing catch with me.
Yeah.
And that's just how it came to be. And I'm like, I guarantee you guys I will outthrow him. And I did. I just got lucky, I guess.
I think he got to a point where he wasn't willing to sacrifice his contract to beat.
That had to have been.
I think that's what started to happen.
That was the year he signed a multi-year, which in baseball you just don't do.
Yeah. It
was just year to year. But that year, I think it was a 3-year, multi-millions of dollars. Yeah. So it set him up pretty good.
It is funny though. Like I actually like appreciate that ambition of like, and it probably like actually ties into your career where you look at somebody and you're like, someone would look at him and be like, dude, he's a major league pitcher. You know what I mean? But you looked at him and you're like, I think I can outthrow this guy. I dare try.
You know what I remember most about that trip was after the trip was done, everyone found out that I had paid for my own trip because Bo Gardner made me pay for it. And everyone else had their trip paid for. Yeah. Somehow I paid for my own trip. I was like so shocked at the time.
That's amazing. You invested in your own trip, I would say.
It was good.
So you're one of the few people that I'm sitting down with that has been doing this. Are you over 20 years?
This will be my 20th season.
20th season.
2006, first year.
Okay, so 06 was your first year. So that was the year, my last year as a rep before I went into like management. I was kind of helping manage, but I didn't have my own team.
But you were the baller back then, and you still are. And most people probably don't know this. I tell you all the time. When I went to those training meetings my first year, I was just mesmerized, and I'd always sit in the front. I'd always sit in front of you and Eric Mealy, just watching and listening, and I still feel that way. In fact, I bring people to you all the time just because I remember you as that symbol to me, and you're kind of still that guy.
Thanks,
you inspire, and you train really well.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I actually think that was a great, so every single week, we would get every single rep together, and we would do 2 things, recruiting meeting followed by a training meeting. So you're supposed to bring people to the meeting to recruit, give them pizza, stay for an hour, and train right after.
Marriott Center Street.
Yeah. That was before we had our own building.
That's right.
I had to do it at the Marriott. But one of my like sales isms or things that I've learned is training works better on trained people. And so it's funny because you were always front row. You're always like taking it in. It's funny that you still see me that way because that was 20 something years ago. And I was literally a year and a half ahead of you. And so that's it. Right. Like, it's not like I had this expertise, but, it's funny because, and you notice it now, but whenever I like train a room, it's always the people that probably need the training the least that are the most engaged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like people like you that are sitting front row and taking it all in, and like you're already like doing well.
What do you think
You know
that
what I mean?
is?
Well, I think it's what made them good in the first place, right? Like I think so we say training works better on trained people, but think if I were to go watch Tiger Woods play a round of golf. Like I'm not that serious about it. I wouldn't really know what to look for. I don't have like that base level of expertise. So as much as I need the training, I'm probably just not in a position to pick it up. But you take like, my brother Jordan or something and have him go play around with him. Oh my God. I bet he'd learn so much, and he's already so good at golf, And so I don't know. I think people that want to improve attract other people that want to improve. And you were like, one of the things that's great about you is you're equal parts like ambition and teachable, right? Like you've always asked questions. You've always like sought knowledge. You've always sought the perspective of other people, and you very easily could do the opposite, which is assume you know everything. You know what I
Half
mean?
of the questions I've asked are probably stupid.
But if I'm saying like a lot of growth is being willing to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like I remember when you first came to Solar, and we were actually at an executive meeting.
First thing no, everyone was quiet.
Yeah, we're not at an executive meeting. We're at an executive retreat.
Yeah. Yeah. Where was that? I was in Chicago.
Yeah.
We're in Chicago.
And we were doing a breakout.
We had Maureen. We had you. Who else was at our
I think Leo was at the table.
Leo was probably at the table. They were in the room at least.
And it's we very first start this breakout, and Scott's like, I need to tell you guys something. I don't know anything about solar. Like, I don't know how it works. I don't know how it's financed. Have you seen Days of Thunder? Like back in the day?
I've seen trailers, but never seen the movie.
I don't know if it would hit. I mean, I like grew up with Days of Thunder, so like telling you to go back and watch a movie from
That's the Tom
1988.
Cruise movie, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a stock car racer.
Yep.
And he's like this phenom racer guy. And he's in this, they're trying to like figure out like how to make the car work for him better. He's like having this like driver mechanic relationship. And they're like, the mechanics are like frustrated with him because they're like, why don't you just tell us what you need? And then kind of under his breath, he's like, I don't know anything about cars. And they're
That's
like,
amazing.
what did you say? And he's like, what you just said, the engine, I don't get it. I don't know what it means. And it reminded me of that when you're like, yeah, I don't know anything about solar. Like,
Just do it.
I know sales. But the cool thing is like if you jump in, you're willing to be embarrassed, you're willing to ask the question, you're willing to seek advice from people, and don't have any like misgivings or guile about it, then you generally like, you get the answer you're seeking and you can move ahead really fast. Because as much as you felt like you didn't know, you've surpassed thousands of people that think it's a prerequisite. I have to know this before I can be successful.
And you know, it's funny because when I first came here, 2021, I was afraid to close deals because I just had insufficient knowledge on the product, the service, and how it all worked.
Mm-hmm.
So all I would do in 2021, I'm 38, 39 at the time, I just knocked doors and set deals and send them to people that I knew were smarter than me on our product and our offering and our service. And it worked.
Yeah.
And I kept doing it, and I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I hadn't been on the doors in a long time before that.
Dude, it's funny you say that because a lot of people, like a lot of our industry, like formerly was setter closer. We still have some setter closer, obviously, and seasonal and stuff now, but because it's PPA and because it's single platform, it's not as complicated as it used to be. But a lot of the high sellers have learned that, like John Sanders, like people think, oh, I want to be closing, but it's like, if you can create the relationship, be in control of that, and then someone else, like he literally has someone that like goes and like ties up all the logistics, but he loves knocking the doors. He loves finding the person. The being willing to do that is actually where a lot of the opportunity is. It's prospecting. I just went through Psychology of Selling again. How many times have you read that book?
0.
Really?
I've never read it. I'm on a
You were like a
spiritual,
core
I'm on a
POS
reading
guy.
journey. I'm on a reading journey right now.
I know that.
In the last few months. And I could talk to that, but haven't read that one yet.
Well, I want to talk to it right now, but before we do, he says 80% of sales is prospecting. Like you should be spending 80% of your time prospecting and 80% of your skill. You should get very, very good at prospecting, which makes sense, right?
Yep.
Like if you have a constant influx of customers and at bats, then the rest kind of takes care of itself. If you're the best at closing sales and handling objections and you just don't have enough pipe, then really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
And
but
by the
that's
way,
the psychology of selling.
speaking about John, I watched one of these podcasts for the first time like this week, and I started
This did just
John.
come up.
I literally had never listened to one.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I'm going to be on this, so I probably should learn a little bit about this podcast stuff. I listened to John's, and he calls out fusion. An hour and 7 minutes into the call.
I need to
the
go back and re-listen.
And he's asking, is this recorded? And yeah, John, it's recorded. But he said that whenever he would see a Fusion car, he'd want to slit its tires. Do you remember this? No. Yeah, he's like, Fusion this and that. And then he retracts and he's like, I'm actually glad Fusion's out there because I pick up their easy deals. Well, he's not. We're getting all the deals.
There you go.
John Sanders.
John, do you know John?
I've met him a few times.
You guys would be fast friends.
Would we?
Yeah. He's so fun. He's so competitive. It's said in love, but then it's also a little serious. It's a tone you would understand.
I mean, I respect the hell out of him. 51, 52 years old, and he's grinding.
Yeah, he has almost 2,000 installs.
It's amazing.
Yeah. He's sold in pretty much every market. John doesn't have, he's got that thing that you have when you come in, you know, that like hunger to figure it out, that competitiveness, but still after all these years, I mean, he started knocking like pest control in like the 90s, like the 1990s, you know?
Yep.
And he, the drive, the competitiveness, if there's a contest, I'm going to win it, is still, he wants to know who's the number one on the leaderboard. Like it's like, it's not that his fire's still lit. It's just the way he lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Talk to me about this, the reading journey, the spiritual journey.
I mean, this is deep. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't come here to be shallow with you.
Yeah.
Man.
So a few months ago, maybe it's 2.5 months ago now, I'm at lunch at Tsunami with Leo Sageman. So yeah, I'm at Tsunami and I'm at lunch with Leo Sageman and Paul Dixon. He's in the corner meeting with some guy. Had no idea he was going to be there. And after he's done with that lunch meeting or whatever, he comes and sits with Leo and I. And we're having a conversation back and forth, talking about the season, everything like that. And legitimately, and I've known Paul a long time, he looks at me and hears me out and says, I need you to be a better leader. And I'm like taken back by it. And it struck me pretty hard. No one had ever talked to me like that. Well, I shouldn't say never. I just hadn't been communicated like that in a long time.
How did you take like the tone? Like what was it?
It was out of concern and love.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants us to thrive. He wanted me and my family to be taken care of. Like, I feel that and I do that. But he said, Scott, you need to go work on yourself. You need to go work on your leadership skills. And I'm like, wow.
Did that like sting? Was it hurtful or was it like, oh, okay. Was it motivating? Like what?
I'll tell you what happened. As he said that, I grabbed my water and
shattered the glass.
I'm shaking with this cup of ice water to my lips.
Yeah.
I was just like, I wasn't confused. I knew what he was talking about and I heard him. So 24 hours goes by and I'm like, what did he mean? Why am I that guy to him right now? And so I did like a journey. I am looking back on my career and here's what I came down to. My first 7 years at Vivint, Apex back in our day that changed to Vivint, I didn't read any books. In fact, I'd make fun of people that would read the books.
You're just like still in high school, like
I'd
throwing chicken nuggets at those kids in the cafeteria.
I'm like, hey, get out of here. But then I spent a little time around Casey Baugh, Jeff Mendez.
Yeah.
But mostly Casey. And I'm like, this guy talks differently. He's different. There's something different about this guy. I'm going to go find out what it is. And as I did that, I learned he's just reading a ton of books. He's keeping his learning ahead of his earnings. We've heard that a lot. And so I just started reading book after book after book. And I saw that the language, we talk about tribal leadership.
Yeah.
The language that our group was speaking changed. And our language became one. And everyone just started to educate themselves and get better. And that's what I did for 7 or 8 years at Vivint. And our volume just went this way. We just got better. We were learning. And so I can honestly say that in 2021, when I came here, from there to that moment with Paul, I read maybe 1, maybe 2 books. And I'm vulnerable on the air saying that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, that's probably what's different. I'm not educating myself. I'm not trying to improve myself. I mean, how many people in our career are trying to better themselves at this stage of their business? I would assume not very many people. They think, I've learned everything that there is to know. I don't need to read books anymore to go get better or to get my income to increase. I just need to keep doing what I'm doing. And I would actually disagree with that wholeheartedly. And so since that moment, you started talking about tribal leadership before you asked Fusion to read that book.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of the first books I picked up, I think, as you challenged us to do it. And it's been awesome. But it's not just that book. It's multipliers. It's all these different books that I'm encouraging other leaders to read. And I've noticed that their language is starting to change too. And that's the spiritual journey of book reading that I've been on over the last, I guess, 2.5 months since Paul told me to go be better.
Yeah, it's great. It's like, I've done studies on like people live like late stages of life that stop learning and like what happens to their brain. And, there's like for a long time, people thought that the brain like couldn't change and, after a certain age or whatever. And now what they've realized is the ones that keep learning, their brain, it's plastic, right? It keeps moving. It keeps developing, and you can actually learn until your last breath. You know what I mean? But it's that exposure to ideas. It's funny, like when I'm reading a lot or just exposing myself to a lot of ideas, whether that's a book, whether that's a podcast, a lot of times it's other people. That's where my brain will do like the bursts of ideas. And so,
which you're full of.
Yeah.
Lots of ideas. Really.
Well, but in order to have that flow, you have to like, again, it's like prospecting, right? In order to like have a lot of deals to close, you have to have a lot of like prospects. And so I feel like in order to have, like, if you're working on the next phase of your career, if you're working on, having a happier marriage or whatever, like a lot of times it's not what is said in the book that you all of a sudden start doing, and that's the answer you were looking for, that gets your brain firing, right? And so it opens you up to have those like, oftentimes creativity and like ideas, they come in a burst. You can be noodling on them and working on them, but you've ever been there where you're like, I know what to do. Actually, no, I have, because I've seen you in meetings be like, I got it. I know what to do. It's just like getting your brain. It's like stretching before you work out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you're just kind of getting your brain in that zone. So, what's one of your biggest takeaways of the last, since you've been back on that journey? What's something that like you needed to hear, or something that got you thinking that you're on right now?
I haven't learned. It's something I've already known. It's just rekindled.
Presented in a little different way. Yeah.
Sometimes meetings are just pointless, but the best meetings to have are one-on-ones. So what I've done, and people in Fusion know this, I've set it up in their calendar every 2 weeks. We're doing a one-on-one. And then with the core leaders of an office, once a month, one-on-one with the whole core of the group, and just seeing how they're doing and how we can improve, and making sure that they're telling the right story. Like the story I was telling from 2021 to now, up until 3 months ago, with Paul saying go be better, was I was leaving out the story and just talking about the money. Hey, you can make great money doing door to door. We're in the renewable sector. And now it's, hey, no, we're in the energy space, and we got AI. It's a war, just like Russia and the United States back in the 60s and 70s, space exploration. Well, they've written, we talked about it earlier today, they've written books, shown movies on what if Russia would have won that race,
space race,
and what the world would look like if that would have happened. I mean, it was a big situation 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. AI is that next race, and we're going to go beat China. We're going to go figure out energy. And that's the story that we're talking about in Fusion, which I think we're changing the name, but we're not going to say it. Should I even said that?
No, it's fine.
Okay. But just making sure that our language is pure, that it's one, and that we're on the up and up, and keeping our learning ahead of our earning.
That's one thing I think that you're really good at is, and I want, as leaders hear this next part, I want them to like picture themselves and like what their cadence is, but your level of communication and your frequency of communication with your people. So, one thing that I'd like you to speak to is the one-on-ones that you just mentioned. Are they scheduled, and is it just something that is just recurring and you set it up once, you have to think about it? And then number two is your philosophy about talking to people often. Because as, Jordan and I talk about this business a lot. Jordan used to oversee Fusion before, and then your partners, and then meeting a lot of your people, they'll say, dude, Scott is in constant communication with me. And that's a lot of work. Like it takes a lot to like be calling people. I want to know like your kind of philosophy about that. And when you look at other leaders, should they do more of it and why?
Well, if we're not talking with them, who is? Who's giving them the story that they need to be telling to their people and to their future recruits?
I'll tell you who is. Someone that's not as trained, not as intentional, and probably not backed by the same company, right?
I would agree. But to answer your first question, it is automatic. Every 2 weeks, it's in their calendar. We just hop on and we go. It wasn't like that to begin with, but now it is.
So you just set it up.
Just set it up. It's done. They have their calendar invites. It pings them 10 minutes before, and we just jump on.
Mm-hmm.
The content, it's different, but very similar every few weeks. Content, how are they doing? How's your family? It's personal. I want to know everything going on. I know one of our managers had his wife here in Utah for an operation. Like those are things that I want to know. But then we get into the business side. It's how can I do better for you? What do you need from Fusion? What do you need in this experience? And they'll ask how they're doing. We'll talk about active and productive headcount. I think that's how we grow, is making sure that's on the up and up. Making certain they know their targets, that they're going to go hit it, which we hate talking about it, but we have to do it. We're a publicly traded company and we have goals, corporate has goals, and we all want to go hit those goals. What else do we talk about? We talk about vision, making sure that we're constantly, and Grant Cardone talks about it. He talks about a lot of dumb stuff. But one of the good things I heard him talk about was we always have to be selling our people on the opportunity.
Yeah.
And there's wisdom in that. Because if we're not, what else is there being talk on? And if it's opposite to this, I can't moderate what's being discussed, and I'm actually nervous by that. So I like to communicate with our sales force a ton.
Yeah.
From athlete, like the very bottom, brand new guy, all the way to the top.
One of the things I was going to say with the frequency point, like what you're saying about Grant Cardone, is a lot of times leaders, like, they don't realize the exposure to vision content that they have, right? And so what like sometimes seems normal or mundane to them, we often don't realize that the reps aren't getting that. So also like
What is that?
Well, I think so. My dad was talking to me about this. My dad's in his career held a lot of different, like kind of like climbed the corporate ladder. So he's
Super successful.
a lot of different leadership positions. And so he has this viewpoint where when I had told him about my most recent career change, he had said, you're seeing things from another view now. And there's all these like, think of like levels of the building. So when you're on the ground level, like when you just get into the business, you literally just don't see as much. You like sometimes the business makes a decision and you're like, why would they do that? That's so stupid. And then you get like, hey, I need your help. I want you to help me run the team. And then you get to the second level and you're like, oh, well, I guess there's a lot of cars. I didn't know there were so many cars in the parking lot. Or, oh, there's a lot more people here than I thought. I see why we did that, whatever. And so as you keep moving up, the reason that the people need your constant vision is because when you're on the first floor, you actually can't. It's called vision because it's a picture in a leader's mind or a reality that he sees that the others don't, right? And so you have to communicate it to them because they can't see it. So if I was actually blind and you were seeing and you just stopped talking to me, I'd be like, hey, did it get dark? Are there still people here? I can't see, right? And so reps oftentimes, their vision is what you give them. They can't see the view from that other floor. And so, or think of it like if you're taking people on a hike through the jungle and you are like raw leader with a machete making a path, right? And they're behind you and they can't actually see. So not only do you see where you have to go, but you also have this like vision of what this could be. Yeah. I could cut a road here. Hey, the next time we come through here, there could be steps. There could be a path, right? they're following you because they don't have that skill set yet, right? And so if they're back there and they can't see and you're following, you're going to say stuff like, hey, waterfall ahead. Hey, it's going to be dark in about an hour. Hey, when we come over this hill, this is going to open up. It's going to be a beautiful view. And then they keep following you. But if you stop talking to them, they may say, why are you even doing this? I'm tired. When do we get to sleep? And you're like frustrated with them. But had you just been giving them vision, they probably would have followed better. That makes sense?
And to add along to that, my first leadership meeting in Vegas was Sunrun. Fusion was so tiny. I mean, it could fill your office. Chance was there. Paul was there.
Was that for the Run X conference thing?
No, it just happened to be in Vegas. Maybe in midsummer, let's do a recap, State of the Union. But people were asking me permission to contact the sales reps that I worked with just to help. They were asking my permission. I'm like, they don't know me very well. You don't have to ask permission. Just go help. Like proactively, you always will have permission. And that's kind of another thing I've talked to these guys in our one-on-ones about. I'm like, we're utilizing Ty for help on vision and all these other things. And Leo had Tiffany send out an email saying, hey, I'm doing one-on-ones. Let's get these scheduled up. And proactively for me, knowing that, I'm like, hey, if Leo set up a one-on-one with you, because I didn't know who all it was set up with, I'm like, you need his help. You need all the help we can get, we want, because doing it on your own, you're not going to see everything that's ahead of you. But having more good leaders have eyes on the task at hand will only help you get where you want to go faster. And in turn, your sales force that you work with, it'll help them get to where they want a lot faster.
What are some of the like core pieces of advice or things that you learned or thought of when you were developing your sales career? So like for the new reps, what are principles that helped you become a standout salesperson? Did anyone ever sit you down, or did you have these epiphanies where you're like, oh, selling is just like this, or things that you employed that led to that?
I don't know if anyone really taught me how to sell. My brother Jeremy, he's not here. He taught me how to get in the door. I was petrified.
Really?
On how to get, I was.
And did you guys start at the same time? He just figured that out first?
We're out in Salt Lake City.
What's the order here? There's how many bellboys? Is there 5?
So there's Jeff, which is me.
Yeah.
But I go by Scott. I'm a junior. Jeremy, Justin, Josh, Jared, Shelby. And then Justin and Josh,
there's 5.
Here. 5 boys.
5 boys.
1 sister. She's number 6.
Then Shelby.
Yeah.
Bless you, Shelby.
She's amazing.
She would have to be.
Yeah. She's a dude. She's pretty good.
I'm sure.
Like she gets scrappy with us. She knows.
I'm sure. You don't survive that household and not have some like real some real confidence, some real guts. So Jeremy's right under you.
Right under me.
Okay. So he figured out how to sell first.
No, he figured out how to get me in the door. I was super shy. When I say super shy, I'm not saying talking to you. I just felt uncomfortable going in the house. I'm like, Jerm, I don't know how to get in the house. Can you show me how? And I did the pitch, and he goes, let me show you how this works. And
leaned in.
And I'm like, boom. I remember the moment. Boom, boom. I was petrified.
It's just like cliff jumping. You know that feeling of like you're looking at the cliff, you're like, all right, I'm going to do it. I know I can do it. And then you're like, what's this feeling? And then that when you step forward and you're like, I remember the first door I got into, and it was a mild version of jumping off a cliff. It was kind of like here I go. Like I'm moving. What's going to happen? You know?
Speaking of jumping off cliffs, if you can get Leo to jump off a 20-foot cliff, I will Venmo you $100.
I will have it done within 12 months.
Such a chicken. It's crazy.
I'll have it done within 8 months.
I want to see it. I'd love to see that. He's super safe. He doesn't speed. He's super slow. He drives a Lambo and he doesn't speed. Who doesn't speed in a Lambo?
Even 20 feet.
He wouldn't jump 20 feet. He won't do it.
You were sitting in the boat when my 6-year-old barreled off that cliff, weren't you?
Yeah, I saw all that. They were crazy. Your kids are awesome.
That was so wild.
And Stacy have amazing kids.
We do have
I told you after that trip, Rocco, all of them. They're freaking awesome.
You guys are awesome too. It's fun to see a layer down and be like, oh, this is like This is your life. This is your actual life.
Well, I was studying you. I'm like, hey, are his kids like mine? Do they fight? And I saw it. I'm like, yes. It made me feel so good. Yeah.
Oh, but it's funny because my Riot, he's 6. He was just like he fell into this pocket of like early teen girls, and it was like,
Oh.
I'm saying on the trip, like
Oh.
he was hanging out with like Costin and like like the girls, and people got up. Like I was on a different boat than Riot because he was with the ladies, didn't want his dad around. And by the time our boat caught the rest of the boats, Riot was on a 20-foot cliff and with no way down with like Jason Delstra's daughter. And we're like, what's he gonna do? And he barreled. Frankly, I didn't know he had it in him either.
Yeah. But
He's going
going back to what you brought up, you were talking about turbulence.
Jumping off a cliff, selling.
Yeah.
Sorry, going in. Turbulence was
Like
in the
counsel.
previous
Yeah, previous meeting. Counsel I give to people. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I'm just saying what helped you, because you were a dominant salesperson before you were a leader. You were a competitive, high selling person, and you came from scratch. You were
a personal sales guy.
You were.
A lot of people wouldn't say that. I did. I feel the same.
Well, the numbers say that.
Brad Rossiter would say different, but I actually thought I sold personally pretty good.
You were over 200.
No,
Never
once.
How does that feel? I just saw what was your highest selling year?
191.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Texas, and no preseason back in.
So get this. I'm almost done with the Dale Earnhardt documentary on Prime, and Dale Earnhardt has tied Petty. He had the 7 championships, Richard Petty. So him and Dale have 7. And so Dale was like this dominant like NASCAR guy and had never won Daytona. Daytona's like the race, the Daytona 500. It took him 20 years to win the Daytona, and he finally like won the Daytona. But you're like, it's funny because it's like, oh, I never crested that 200. I've had this amazing career. Whatever, 190, that's a ton. That's a ton.
Appreciate it.
So what helped you, or what advice would you have to help people really establish a core sales expertise?
Be patient. People think it's going to happen like this. You're going to have events that happen that may set you back a month, 2 months, a year. Don't give up. I got lucky to work with really good people, from top to bottom. I also got lucky to be the oldest of 5 boys.
Yeah.
And I have phenomenal family, my wife, my kids, and maybe talking to my wife, I would say for anyone that isn't in a partnership, don't be careful, but be mindful that you'll only be as successful as your partner will allow you to be.
What does this mean?
I mean, they're your partner. Partners usually are 50-50. And when you're working, who's watching? In our case, the kids. And
you mean your life partner?
My life partner.
Yeah. Not your business partner.
For me, it'll be 20 years in April. And there's a ton of fire in that marriage, mind you. Like good fire. Like we love being married. And ups and downs, obviously, but life's been great over the last long period of time. But when I'm out working in different markets or whatever, when I'm here, I don't have to worry about what's going on the home front. I trust her wholeheartedly. I don't have to worry if my kids are being taken care of. She hasn't called me. She hasn't texted me because she knows I'm right here. Mm-hmm. And this is work time. Unless it's an emergency, that's what she knows. And so you will only be as successful as she or he will allow you to be.
I think that's really true. I also think it's a process where you find your way, right? Because if I'm being honest, like I feel the exact same about my wife. Like she I could not do this with it. Actually, it's not me being like
she's superwoman.
Yeah, but it's like, think about it. Like you could not spend the time working that you spend working if things weren't handled that way, like literally and like logistically. But I've had certain times when my brain's not working as well, or my view's not very good, that I haven't felt that way, where it's like, oh, like I have to deal with this or whatever. And it's like, so it's one thing to have an amazing partner, but you also have to bring development to the table. You have to be seeing things clearly and accurately.
Yeah. Because
the person I'm married to is the same person. I've seen her differently and she's seen me differently in different phases of life. but a lot of times that's a me thing. I'll give you an example. I have a friend that I call him a friend, but I know somebody who they were talking about their wife, and there was kind of like a negative tone. I actually know this person's wife, and it was all of these things that were wrong. And I actually was thinking, and I was like, I don't think you're describing the person that I know. Like, you see her in a very different way. And it was like a really big wake up call of like, how often do we do that? Like, anybody look at the company. People could be like, this is the most amazing place in the world. I can't believe I get to do this. And other people are like, oh, they don't care about you. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of it is, I believe that you need to select the right person, but that culture that you create is a joint thing. Like, you have to be a good partner and be somebody that's worth partnering with in order to get that back. You know what I mean?
And, I think my wife is the way she is because she trusts that when I'm doing my thing, the work, I'm all in with it and I'm bringing home results.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't, there would probably be friction for when I am gone. And she would probably be frustrated that I'm not having success. And chances are, if I'm not having success, I'm probably just not either taking it serious, not putting the time in, or not refining my craft, or whatever the case may be. So
plus, she's a Nyborg who literally ice
memory.
She ice plunged in with her Viking father and brothers as a 6-year-old. She's a force.
But your wife's a belle.
Hey, try it.
There we go.
Good stock. Was there any particular leader that invested in you that helped you develop in a way that other leaders could take and turn potential into results?
I could talk about Bodie Gardner. I could talk about Casey Baugh, Todd Peterson. I'll tell you, it's probably my dad. I'm not going to cry.
You might.
I get emotional whenever I say that. I'm not the crier type. I don't think I am.
Or are you?
Huh?
Or are you?
I don't think so. I have bad
too. I'm just going to tell you, feel free to explore your emotions on this podcast.
So, I don't know if I've ever, I'm only seeing John and he didn't cry.
People cry.
Really?
We cry. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We get it done.
So my dad, I remember, and my other brothers, Jeremy might remember. I don't know if Justin does. Justin's just competitive. He's awesome. He's got so much passion for this. But Josh, Jared, Shelby, they probably don't remember. My dad was broke, had 5-6 kids, and would get home from work and get a call, hey, we need this shipment in Brownsville, Texas. And would drive from DFW down to Brownsville overnight and come back in time to be at his day job just to put money on the table. I remember those events, and sometimes I was with him. So I remembered the grind. I remembered the price that he paid. And what I don't remember him ever picking me up at school, ever. I don't remember him doing the things that I see a lot of dads doing these days. And I've outwardly said, I don't want to be known as the dad that picks my kids up at school. Because what if my daughter thinks that that's normal? And her husband, hey, we have our kid, you need to pick him up at school, but you have a job that you're there till 6. I don't want that to be a conflict later on for her. I want to be known as the guy that worked hard like my dad did. So as far as leadership, as far as teaching me how to work, teaching me values, teaching me how to be honest in my dealings, teaching me those types of values and leadership skills, I think come from Jeffrey Scott Bell Sr.
That's amazing. I have a friend who he's a clinical psychiatrist. He's on with a medical group, and he's very smart. He's very successful, and I'm lucky to be his friend because he has this real knowledge of emotional things that sometimes I can feel but can't articulate, and he it's helpful to have him as a friend. And I deal, if I'm being honest, I deal with some guilt from the workload and from traveling, and there's a lot that my kids
work hard.
Yeah, and you know how it is. We have very intense.
I'm actually shocked at how hard you work. I didn't know how hard you worked until the last few months.
You thought I was just screwing around this whole? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I just usually people that have made it, they're kind of tapering off. You work hard and you do a damn good job at what you do.
Well, thank you. We haven't made it yet. We got a lot of work to do. Maybe that's it. But anyway, I deal with some guilt sometimes because I miss stuff, and like
Yeah.
I'll catch my kids' games. And I remember one game I was at, and I said to my wife, I was like, "Oh, I'm doing pretty good. There's no other dads here," and all the dads were coaches. I was like, "Oh," I just thought immediately. And
You ever wonder what they do for work?
oh, constantly. I'm like, how do you guys live here? But my friend who, is a successful like psychiatrist said, he's like, they've done studies on this, and he like counseled me this because I do deal with some stuff there. And he said they've done studies on this, and he says it's not what matters in like the development of kids isn't actually how much like shoulder to shoulder time you spend with your father. It's the kid knowing that their father's a good man.
You talked about that.
Yeah. And so knowing that for me is like, oh, well, like, yeah, like, dude, my dad had to work hard too. And like, he couldn't FaceTime me every time he traveled, and I don't really remember, like, and if he was at all the things, he probably tried his best. And we really had moments where I remember he was there and it was important, but he had a job and he was like trying to like provide for the family. But I knew he was a good man. I knew he was like, he was principled, and he taught me values, and he expected things of me. And so I don't think back and say, yeah, it would have been strange if you picked me up at school. If my dad would have picked me up at school, I was like, what happened? What is wrong? You know what I mean? And so that helps in like because sometimes we have this view of like, oh, I need to be there for my kids. I have a kind of a controversial view that that's actually pretty selfish. Like if I was like, I just want to be home with my kids don't need me home all the time. They need to know that the dad's a good man, that the dad's working hard for them. And if I'm there, it's because actually I want to be there. Like it feels bad. I would love to be at home with my kids. They're awesome for sure. Right? But if I'm doing that now, that likely means there's other things that I'm not doing. And that is going to limit optionality at some point, right? Like if I'm home every single day and work half the time and not as hard, okay, well, what if they have a great idea and need investment when they're 25 and I don't have the money? Or what if they really need me to take a week and go be with them and move them into their house or something, and I can't because I took that time early? You know what I mean? And so for me, I actually feel like one of the best things I can do for my kids, and his counsel helped me, is I've got to be the embodiment of this value. Like we have a belief that we work hard, and so you have to see that. You know what I mean? But sounds like Jeffrey Scott Bell Sr.
Jeffrey Scott Bell Sr.
Got that ingrained deep.
Yeah.
Transition into leadership. When you look at like your group, I've met with a lot of people that you work with. I've known a lot of people that you've worked with, but in the last couple of months, I've met with a lot of people, and there's like a loyalty to your group. And I know like you guys invest a lot of time in your people, you and your brothers, like you invest a lot of time in your people, but how do you instill that loyalty? Like, what do you account for that feedback from your people of, I love Scott, I love Justin, I love the Bell brothers? I hear that a lot.
Paul, we were together a few years ago, and he said something along the lines of, I want this to retire everyone, in regards to this opportunity here. And I felt that. And I feel like I have to give back to all the leaders that I have direct responsibilities to help this be the engine that retires them. And I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen within my control.
Yeah.
And there's going to be frustrations because I'm going to rub people wrong as I coach them and help them level up. We may have sales reps that feel like we let them down. Effort doesn't go unnoticed. And I don't think I will ever have a single leader that could say, I didn't put the effort in. And part of that comes from just being all in, for one. And two, maybe just being dumb. And I say that in a good way.
Step number one, be all in. Step number two, got to be a little dumb.
I've worked at 2 companies in 20 years. You've worked at 2 companies in 20 years. The wealthiest people I know just stay put. They find
wealth is made in concentration, right?
100%. And so the reason why they may speak so highly of the Justins, the Josh, the Jeebies, the Nates, the Champ, like I can go on and on. I know them all.
Mm-hmm.
Even all of our athletes, the new ones. We just want it for them. And they will never believe that I or those leaders don't want it for them as well. So I think that's where it comes from.
I think it is. And that's something that like I'd always heard about you. Like you do. I remember when I was
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
I remember an event with you. We were in Midway, midsummer. I want to say you were either in Oklahoma. No, you were in Orlando, something. I was going through my Louisiana mess. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was in 15, not I. We were in 15 different hotels in a month and a half's time. We were all over the country at that time. And you asked me a question. You were talking to me in the parking lot, and you mentioned something along the lines of, I don't know how you're putting up with that. I probably wouldn't have put up with that. And the reason why I put up with it is because all the commitments that I'd made to all the people that we had brought in. Hey, we're going to be number one. We're going to get you to go hit your goal. Like all the commitments made, I had to follow through with it. So all the sleepless nights, it paid off because we were together. We were number one, not just as a team, but in purpose. We all had the same common goal. It was to succeed. It was to grow. And I actually think from that year, 2013 Louisiana, that was probably the best generation of leaders up to this point ever created.
Just forged, right?
Just because they learned how to go grow in a turbulent time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's easy to grow when things are great. Hard to do it when things aren't so great.
Yeah, that's true. And, there's also kind of that like foxhole mentality when you go through things. Like we've been talking about this as we're working on branding for Fusion, but I've been saying it a lot that like hard is fun, right? Like hard is fun. Like you look back on that and you're like, at that time we spoke, I'm like, it's because I hate logistics. So it's like, you got to like do partnerships and pair people up and you got to like deduct like who wants to do that?
Yep.
But now you look back and you're like, that was fun. Well, it wasn't fun at the time, but like hard is fun. You know what I mean? And if it doesn't stretch you, if it's only enjoyable, if it's only like pleasurable, that's different, right? But like doing something that you're proud of, that's fun. Building a business that lasts, that's fun. Watching that core group of leaders, like,
and it's painful though.
Yeah.
And it's painful on the family as well. But it's just a short moment to go through in order to be blessed long term. And that was always something I had in my head. Just don't stop. I had plenty of don't stop moments in my career in this space. And that's where my dad comes in with his leadership skills, just snapping me out of it just by simple sentences. I'm a simpleton. They say simplicity is the greatest form of sophistication. And that's a me to the T. And so I'd say things like, I think this might be my last year at Vivint. Son, you make way too much money to think such a thing. What else are you going to do? You're right.
I'm back now. I'm better now.
Click. Little moments like that.
Yeah.
So, grateful for all the tough times for sure. I mean, this last season, tough time. It was where leaders will be made. It's who showed up, who didn't. And I'm super bullish on the next 12 months.
So I was going to ask you to kind of wrap us up. What are you most excited about looking forward?
Today's earnings day, and I think they'll do a good job. But the most exciting thing, I think all of our leaders want it bad. They want a rematch. And I think player number 2 always does better than player number 1. That's like a golf metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you hit your ball and you want to take a second hit, that second shot's always going to be better.
Yeah.
And that's how Justin, Josh, like all the late Chandler, Blake Creech, I'm going to say your name. Mm-hmm. Every one of us, Morgan Cram, want a rematch. And that's where I think that's what makes me really excited, because I know that as we collaborate and as Fusion is planning to go do what it's going to go do with the changes it's going to go make, that everyone's going to be freaking pumped with what that looks like 12 months from now.
The rematch. I like it. I'm a fan. I always say that I'm a fan of this industry. Like I know what it takes, so I understand it. And so I love seeing people, get stung by something and come back and win. Or I love seeing people like take off early. I just I like it all. You know what I mean? I like to be like involved in it and rooting for that group.
You're like me. I think you want to die tired.
Sure. I definitely don't want to there's a, former LDS church leader, Gordon B. Hinckley, his wife. She has like one of the like, she's like the cutest thing ever. She was like
Marjorie.
4'10". Marjorie. She's just like this bundle of joy. She's like 4'10", just like light up a room. But she had this like quote, I'll butcher it, but it says something like, I want to show up to heaven with like the knees of my pants worn out in a dirty station wagon and my like dirt under my fingernails from like planting a garden. Like I want to like wear this thing out. And I believe that I know what it's like to slow down. And when I slow down, I feel very tired. And I know what it's like to be ignited by a cause and be excited about something that you're building. And I think, you know, it's inherent in us. Like we're built to build. We really are. Like and so it's like, dude, do you see it when people like, some people like retire and their health declines and they just, and there's reasons for that, but like they lose the spark and go out. And so, I was pretty quick to extinguish this idea of like a lot of like guys come in this industry, like I'm gonna work for 10 years and I'm gonna chill. I just don't know anybody that has ever done that. Like I don't know, and it's certainly not someone that I really like look at and like I want to live like that, you know. And so, yeah, I think slowing down, you start to get tired. I just don't like to feel tired, you know.
Yep, I get it.
Built to build, bro. Well, thanks for sharing with us, man. I appreciate you having you on. I appreciate the friendship over all the years. Like you and I have known each other through a lot of different like work dynamics and a lot of different environments. And I've always had a lot of respect for your group. I've always had fun like talking to you and working with you. And I'm really excited for the next chapter. So thanks for sharing.
Would you have believed this 20 years ago saying this was going to happen?
No, I have a general rule that I no longer believe in surprise.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like you can't see what's coming. You have to do the best job with what's in front of you because you can't see what's coming. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. I feel the same.
Thanks, man.
If you like what you hear and are interested in joining the team, DM us on Instagram at RunXStreet.
What are you waiting for? Shoot us a DM and let's get going.